Welcome to the Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast, the show for real estate couples about how to close more deals in the bedroom. My name is Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And each week we deep dive into juicy, intentional, sexy conversations, sharing with you what it takes to create balance in your intimate relationships and your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here. Shall we begin? Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
What's going on with you today?
Same side of the couch right now.
Yes, we are on the same side of the couch.
And I have my back to the camera. That's inappropriate.
Yeah, you'll be all right. This is what you do, what you got to do when you're, podcasting from your house. So it's all good.
Absolutely. Awesome. How are you today?
I'm awesome. I'm hanging out here and I'm pretty excited. I got to tell you, I want to kind of like jump right into a little bit of magic.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if our guest star can tell us what magic is.
Yeah. So I see magic as those small and sometimes large, but sometimes seemingly insignificant moments that are monumental. They make up these monumental experiences. They seem like they're small. We often gloss over them, but they are those times when we spend in fellowship with one another, falling in love with each other, a glance at one another, an opportunity to give thanks, an opportunity to move through a challenge in a powerful way. So there's so many magical moments that exist in our life. And I love that you all start your podcast off acknowledging those single moments in our life.
That is awesome.
Well, if that's any indication of the powerhouse that we have sitting here with us today, let me just tell you a little bit about our guest before we get started.
Go for it, baby.
Awesome. So, I am Tracey Knight, woman, author, speaker, and certified self-mastery coach. My intention is to help ambitious women who are tired of attaching their happiness and success to social norms stretch their vision beyond the life they have to achieve the life they want. I believe that life is a game to be won, and self-mastery is the key to your freedom and achieving the life you truly want. Coach Tracey Knight has helped thousands of individuals, from baby boomers to millennials, create their ideal life without giving in to fear, setbacks, and other people's expectations. Her signature program, Life on Your Own Terms, teaches women how to discover and reprogram the exhausting and self-defeating thoughts and habits that zap time, divert energy, and impede success. Her book, It's You Against You, 40 Principles to Help You Master Life and Win at Being You, also serves as a guide and inspiration on how to take back, transform, and win at life. Tracey Knight hails from Cincinnati, Ohio, and currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. She is the founder, president, and CEO of a highly sought-after people development consulting firm that specializes in principle-centered leadership and emotional intelligence. In the last 16 years, her work has been featured by Oprah Winfrey, Essence Magazine, Inbound Conference, STEM Noir, Atlanta Business Lead, and Voyeur. Hey, man. Sex, Money, Real Estate, right? Voyage Atlanta. Coach Tracy's prominence and success as a transformational specialist is the result of living wholeheartedly, which includes cooking, running, hiking, dancing, watching cartoons, mentoring, and spending time with family, friends, and her sweetie, Shaka. Tracey Knight also has 2 bonus children, over 100 mentees, and is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and the Junior League of Atlanta. Woohoo!
Right?
Tracey, welcome to Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast.
I am so excited.
Woo. Oh my gosh, I'm like schwitzing right now. Like I'm so turned on by this.
That's awesome.
By this.
What's amazing is you've done all this.
Well, it's all true.
And you're 21 years old. So
Right. I've got so much time to go. So much. I'm just now in the first quarter of my life.
Yes, you are.
there you go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having
So
me.
I'm definitely very honored that you're here. We play in a lot of different circles together, and to have you on the podcast and represent yourself as who you are, and again, this just encapsulates such a, it's just powerhouse just keeps coming to mind, and somebody who is consciously and very intentionally a gift to humanity.
Thank you.
I am very honored that you're here. I know Bill's very honored that you're here.
Yeah, consciously creating the life that you want is what I get out of all that.
I love that.
Like not living life on anybody else's terms but your own. And it's beautiful. So yes, thank you for being here. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing your magic. Or was that your magic? You shared what magic was. What is your magic today?
My magic is actually being here with you all.
Oh.
I said, throughout your studio, there are so many reminders that love permeates throughout your relationship, throughout this dwelling. And you carry it with you wherever you go. So it's such an honor to be here, to be in the energy, be in the space, and to be reminded of the kind of power that we all have when we stay at that level of love.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is, you want to do your magic?
Well, we could talk about like who we are and what we're doing today.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And this is Sex, Money, and Real Estate, the podcast that talks about relationships and real estate and money and all things in between. Mm-hmm. What do you want to say about your magic today, baby?
Awesome. So my magic also is Tracy being here. And, we do these breakdown to breakthrough stories for the purpose of sharing our experiences, because we're all in the trenches together. Like we're all on this amazing journey together. And it's very much about, hearing your experiences and what you utilized in terms of like the experiences or the resources or the tools or the exercises or tips and tricks, like however you want to look at it. Like what did you use to move through it? Because what you have to share, somebody is listening to right now. Like it's resonating with somebody right now, and whatever it is that you're going to share, because I don't know what you're going to share. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about the impromptu-ness of these breakdown to breakthrough interviews as well. And so it's really inspiring, because the podcast is all predicated on belief in the possibility that you can have a super successful business in alignment with a super successful intimate relationship. And the relationship, whether it's the business or the personal relationship, all starts with you. So we're gifts and we're teachers. Like everybody's a gift and everybody's a teacher.
Right.
So I'm just super excited for this particular moment. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And
here's my magic.
Yeah. And cool. And here's the thing. I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit. Like so many things in life we try to solve from the same place that we created them, right? And a lot of that mostly is with ourselves. It's 100% with ourselves. And so to have somebody of your magnitude here, Tracy, who has so many reps in so many different areas and lived your life so full, I think that there's a lot of people out there who can really benefit from, already have, and will continue to benefit from, what you have to offer, So, Nancy and I talk about it a lot on the podcast. Like if if you're looking for mastery or more mastery in any area of your life, you need to get somebody who thinks a little bit bigger than you in that area. So I'm wondering what's going to come up today with all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and you are a self-mastery coach.
Yes.
Like you've worn many different hats. You've been in many different roles throughout your extraordinary life. And, to be a transformational coach at such a high level for such a long time, like I'm like chomping at the bit to hear. So I'm ready to jump in. Absolutely.
Yeah,
like, so where do you want to start? The whole concept of breakdown and breakthrough is jumping in wherever you want to start and whatever it is that you want to talk about in the realm of sex, money, or real estate. And ultimately the relationship is all about you. So it really does apply to all of those things. So take us through, like set the scene, like set the background, give us context, emotions, feelings, like grit, And then again, what did you use to move through that?
Absolutely. So when I was invited to come on, I shared with Nancy, I said, God, there's so many breakdowns and so many breakthroughs where, well, I start with this. And I really didn't have an answer until this morning. I felt very led to look up the word real estate to see what that meant. And of course, there are a number of definitions out there around real estate, but I said, let's go just a little bit deeper. Let's go down just a little deeper and let's just look at the word estate and what that means. And so I pulled that up, and one of the definitions a couple things that just hit me right off the top were an estate is everything comprising the net worth of an individual.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool.
So I said, that is so juicy for me.
Right.
Everything comprising of the net worth of an individual. And therein lies the beginning of my story. But I'm going to start with a quote from Saint Day Adioba, who says, we spend a lot of time focused on our net worth and not as much time on our self-worth. Mm-hmm. And there starts my story. I primarily work with women who don't like to be called middle-aged, but these are women who have had enough experience in their life to understand that the checklist that many of us were given, that checklist of this is what you do in order to be happy and successful checklist. The one that says that you go to school, you get a degree, you get a great career, you get a boo, you get married, right. You buy houses and cars and all of the trappings of success. And I mastered that list because I am a powerful individual and I'm very determined and I want to win, And so after I started going through that checklist and recognizing that I had ticked off many of those things, and yet I was waking up many days crying. And this was after 2 marriages, a highly successful career. You've just heard that I've had some experiences that people would long to have. Right. I mean, it doesn't get much better than having your work featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show, right. The peak of, when that series was going on. And so in a lot of ways, I had it all, everything that people really longed to have. And I remember so clearly waking up one particular Sunday morning, and this is when I was in my second marriage, and praying to my higher power and just saying, God, I don't mean to be ungrateful, but if this is all there is, and this is what you have for me, then I will try my best to just live with it. But if there is something more, please reveal that to me because something feels off here. Mm-hmm. And so I remember getting up. I happened to go to my place of worship that particular day, which is Hillside International Truth Center. And later on that day, I landed in a wellness center where I would meet this woman who would later become my coach, Milani Shani. I believe in speaking people's names, especially when they have deposited so much into you. And after working with Milani for a while, what I discovered is that on the outside, I was a superwoman and a change agent, and I really had attained a lot of success, things that people really wanted. But on the inside, my worth was attached to productivity. Yeah. My relationships were codependent, and I had a lot of people pleasing, and a lot of perfectionism was the measure. And none of us measured up, them or me. And, it just was never enough. I was always on the grind. Right. My hustle had become a grind because by that time I had started my business. And, I was really at this stage of the game, was just coming out of a health malady that almost took me out. And that health malady was triggered by stress, by anxiety, and an addiction to sugar. And so I was at this pivotal moment where I was coming face to face to look at or to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to continue to measure myself and my life by my net worth, or if I was going to rescript it and begin to look at my self-worth.
Was this brought on, you by waking up and actually asking the question, you made the shift. But then when you started to look inward with these maladies that you had going on, what was the precipice for that? What created that question within you? I know you were breaking down, but a lot of people would still be looking outside of themselves.
For sure. And it didn't happen overnight, because I do not believe awareness is a starting point, but awareness does not change condition. Mm-hmm. Awareness doesn't change condition. So here is where being driven, I think, kicks in, because I knew that I was the only common denominator in all of those situations. Mm-hmm. So I had to be the solution for it.
Yes.
And I wasn't about to let life beat me. And that's when I began to understand that life might be a game that I'm playing, and that I'm the athlete, I'm the leader of that game. And I get to decide how I want to play that game. But it didn't come, it didn't come overnight, and it didn't come easily, because when I first got sick, which was before I came down to Atlanta, I really didn't know. I was reared in a household where my mother always subscribed to sort of alternative healing modalities, but I didn't buy into that because, I didn't really buy it. I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Let's put it like that. I still very much subscribe to whatever the doctor tells you, that's what you do. Mm-hmm. Until I went to the doctor, and I was a mass of hives. And I was so sick. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't work. I was on the verge of, having to be out on disability, quite honestly. And the doctor put me on prednisone. And I didn't take the time to really understand what prednisone is, which is a steroid, or the implications of being on steroids. And so I thought that it was curing me. And so what would happen is every time the prednisone would wear off, the symptoms would come back.
Right.
It was not the root cause, which I'll get to that in a minute. It was actually just a symptom. And so I was frustrated. So when I go back to the doctor with my mother accompanying me, I'm telling him that the medication is really not working. And he says, well, we don't know what you're allergic to, so you'll just have to be on prednisone for the rest of your life. So it was in that moment I woke up.
Right.
I woke up very quickly. And because at that time I was late 20s, early 30s. I wouldn't even be sitting here with you.
Right.
If I had followed that instruction.
Yeah, not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So then it was in that moment I realized that I had to start taking my health into my own hands. And that put me on the trajectory. And once I moved to Atlanta, there were other indicators that said to me, you will have to take your health, you will have to take your finances, you will have to take your love life, you will have to take all of these things into your own hands. And, I had started, reading books and self-help, and, I had started down that pathway. But by the time I got to Atlanta, and I was on my second marriage by then, I realized that I had taken myself as far as I could go on my own.
Right.
On my own. Mm-hmm. And that's why I sought out the help of the coach who would help me, who would help me see beyond what was just in my public persona. Mm-hmm. I needed to peel back the layers. And that really helped me to ultimately develop my methodology, which, I believe that we have a triple nature, and the public persona, which is what people physically see, is just one aspect of us. And so getting in touch with both my spirit and my humanness, which I consider to be the ego and my intellect, getting in touch with those and learning how to manage them became paramount for me.
So you took responsibility.
I took ownership. Mm-hmm. I took ownership. Let me tell you something. You can't get away from, you have a choice. You can get in this game and lead it. lead the game of your life, or you can try to stay on the sidelines and act like you are a victim to life circumstances. And that's okay if that's what you choose, but there are consequences that come with either way, because either way, there's some pain associated with it.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you would be proactive with it, or increase your circle of influence, or increase your circle of concern.
Yes,
absolutely.
For sure.
That's beautiful.
All right. So you're in Atlanta.
Yes.
And how did AM Tracey Knight begin?
Yeah, so I am Tracey Knight. Wow. Because everything at that time, I didn't have a business. I was working with a very prominent organization here it's a global organization, but I was working with the headquarters here. And, my identity was very much tied up in my position, my status. That is the point where I became a workaholic. So, and it wasn't until I stepped out of there and started my own business which wasn't AM Tracey Knight at that point. It really was, I'm going to just take what I've been doing here, which I was working in philanthropy at that time, and I'll morph that into a business. But I really didn't believe that. I knew that what I do, I knew that I had skills, but I really didn't believe that anyone would buy them. But I had enough gumption to go and try it. So there's really this quandary that's going on, this push and pull that was going on.
And you'd always been an entrepreneur anyway, right?
Well, I started my first business when I was 10. So yes, I've always been an entrepreneur. But then, I've worked for a variety of organizations, but I was always entrepreneurial in working with those organizations. So yes is the answer to that. So it wasn't far-fetched for me to start my own business. However, once I started that business, there was definitely a push and pull of who's going to be in control and lead this business. Would it be my spirit? Would it be the most authentic part of me who knows why she's here, believes that she has everything that she needs in order to be successful, and is resourceful enough to get whatever she doesn't have? Right. Or will it be the person who sort of doubts, has one foot in, one foot out? Who was I going to allow to lead? And so the metamorphosis of the business came really about 7 years after that. Gotcha. I AM Tracey Knight really was birthed about 7 years after that, in coaching and in discovering that I am, and I'm ready to face the world. And every day I get up and face her. Hence the name of my book, It's You Against You. Because you have a choice as to whether or not you are going to make the person who you see in the mirror every day your greatest ally or your most formidable opponent.
Yes, that resonates. Awesome. Wow. So the 7 years later, that's a lot. So that's a lot. 7 years later. So what year is that? Do you know approximately when?
I don't know. Let's see. I started my business in 2005, but that journey started before that. So I don't know, maybe around 2010-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, 2010-ish. I really started just like, really stepping. I was already in my business, but I really started like ramping up there. Okay. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So what is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now?
Yeah. You're so funny. The same one that I'm always facing. No, it's levels to this thing for sure. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge that I'm facing right now, I have a big vision. I've always been a person who had a big vision, and I'm in the process of building a multi-million-dollar personal empowerment conglomerate to heal and serve over 1 million people per year. And to take your business from being one, self-employed, to being a business, which means that it runs even when you're not there.
Totally. We understand that.
Can we get an amen, anybody? I mean,
right.
You must become that person. Mm-hmm. I've mastered the self-employment. I clearly have been an entrepreneur for over, officially in Georgia, if you will, for 16 years. But so I've mastered that part and I'm complete with that. However, this next phase of really creating a business that is sustainable, that's viable, that's global, is what is on the horizon. And so this idea of becoming that person, the person who can face my product. I'm great at my product. I know I am a transformational specialist. I'm a transformational coach. That's what I do. Marketing is a new frontier for me because, to be honest with you, the first 10, 12 years of my business was all referral. I didn't really have to go after getting customers. Initially I was a B2B model. And so everything was referred to me, quite honestly. However, I've shifted and I have kind of a hybrid of, I do have a B2B where I do a lot of work in organizational culture development, and that's vibrant. And then I have a B2C model, which is completely different. The strategy is different. And so just this idea of learning how to market to people, which is all relationship driven, by the way, which is what I do for a living. But trying to shift my mindset around how that's done has been interesting.
I bet that's been interesting, and trying to figure out how to because, we've talked about it, we've said it a few times, you're a powerhouse. To me, it sounds like the challenge would be, how do I duplicate what I do so that other people can do it? So how do I make another me?
It's so interesting because, I have like 3 coaches. So
only 3, huh? Okay.
Only 3.
Okay.
Hey, I need to have a 360-degree lens.
Yes.
Can we just pause right there?
Sure.
Because that is something that we talk about all the time, about a coach in every area of your life.
For sure.
So that you can have and generate that 360-degree view to flesh out, shine light on all the blind spots and just go, hey, Shadow, let's take a look at you from this side. So I appreciate that you have the 3 coaches. Okay. Go ahead.
And if you could believe it, this is my Tantra coach that I'm getting ready to reference, who has also been supporting me in my business. And it just really speaks to how everything is overlaid. Everything is interconnected. Yes. So even though I have a marketing product development coach, who is awesome and lives in the UK, so not allowing boundaries, geographic boundaries to inhibit you from getting the person who you connect with the most. But my Tantra coach was the one who said to me, she said, Tracy, because we've set this goal that a BHAG that I work only 3 days a week, and I work internationally 3 days a week, like in Costa Rica.
Right. Yes.
But she said, the work that you're doing right now in marketing, which has been painful at times for me because, my humanness has wanted to hang on to some old ways of doing things. She said, all you're doing is you are learning this so that you can teach someone else, so you can replicate yourself, so that you can become. So, and I realized that my systems, I didn't have enough systems in place because it was just me.
Yes.
So I knew what to do.
Yeah.
But when you start bringing on 10, 20 other people, you can't just have that in your head.
Even one other person you can't have in your head. It needs to be duplicatable systems, where one person can pick up the book and read what they're supposed to do and turn the page and keep it moving.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I get it. That's something we have worked on for years and years as well. So, yes.
And what comes up for me right now as we're talking about net worth, we're talking about self-worth, and we're talking about becoming a person who can manage that level, that type of business, that level of a business. First of all, I have adopted Sarah Blakely as my mentor. She doesn't know it yet, but Sarah, cool. I'm coming for you. So just,
awesome.
I'm coming for you.
Awesome.
But I was listening to her masterclass, which is amazing, by the way, and she was referencing a conversation with Warren Buffett and between Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos. And Jeff says, Warren, your investment strategy is so simple. Why don't more people use it? And he said, because nobody wants to get rich slowly.
That's hysterical.
And so Sarah says her message in the masterclass was, don't be afraid to grow your business slowly. to get rich slowly, to become the person who could manage the type of business that you want. You have to become that person who can manage that type of budget, who can manage 10, 15, one person. Yes. You have to become that person. And that is a process.
It's a maturity.
It is a maturity. It is a maturity. And I know we don't like to think about that. We think, oh, I'm already mature. But maturity relates to, right? You can measure your maturity by your level of effectiveness.
Yes, absolutely.
Quite simply.
Yep.
So,
beautiful. There's a saying that we have, right? Go slow, get there fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to go slow. You cannot shift the system. You know, that you have to take your time, build your systems, and grow with them. Otherwise, it's not, like we said earlier, it's just not sustainable. So,
well, what keeps us from doing that is that we are afraid we're going to miss out on something, or we're afraid. This thing of fear is so pervasive, and fear is a good thing. It's a big indicator. It's alarm systems that go off inside of us, but we're afraid that we're going to miss out. So we want to get there very quickly so that we can have all of life, not understanding that it is the process. This has probably been my biggest lesson because I'm not the most patient person. I'm working on that. I definitely am. I'm at point A. I'm going to get to point B and let's leap right over to point B type person, not A1, A2, A3, A4. Right. Okay. So we're so afraid that we're going to miss out on life, or why don't I have it right now? I'm at this age and I need it. What if I don't make enough money and I can't retire? What if, just all those things begin to go through your head that you're missing out on something in life. And what we fail to realize is this is the life. Right. The process is life.
Yes.
It is life. And so I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday in Cleveland, I said, I'm really starting to enjoy this process, the understanding what joy really is, because it's not that my life is not without its challenges and its opportunities for me to grow. However, I'm developing a greater appreciation for them and learning to manage myself in the process, to manage the nervousness, to manage perfectionism is a real thing for me. And I'm learning to manage it. This course that I'm taking in marketing with my marketing coach has really shined a light on just how pervasive the perfectionism is at times of wanting to get it right. And what I love about him, let me call his name, Ed J.C. Smith. He's out of the UK, has a program called Course on Automation. And it's amazing. He teaches a lot of the things that I teach, but he teaches it from a building, around building your business. And he says, it's okay for you to make the mistakes. Like, we want you to just kind of get this out here and get the feedback. His whole thing is about getting the feedback and taking the feedback and using that feedback to keep transforming and to do one thing and to do it well.
Yes.
To do one thing and do it well, opposed to wanting to do everything.
Yeah. That is the thing. And I think that we may have talked about that once or twice, on our podcast. Do your one thing. Do your one thing. Do your one thing is going to be the most effective, so that everything else will align with it. So yeah, you learned that the hard way, and I think a lot of us got to learn that the hard way. Because we live in a society where, and I'm not saying this anything new, but where we want that instant gratification.
Sure.
And sometimes that perfectionism is also a cover up for fear.
For sure. Because, it is fear, for sure.
Or, shame.
Yes.
Yep. And, or, your ego getting in the way and not wanting to do, the blueprint is there, right? Yes. The blueprint is there, but we're so fearful about going through it or doing it somebody else's way. We try to reinvent the wheel. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
You just need to be you and follow the blueprint.
Yes. So. I think that the one thing that the Your Day Balance game has given me is a clear understanding of relationship, what it means to relate to something. And that's really what life is. You can be having the same exact experience at two different stages of your life. When you're less mature and you're having the experience, the relationship to it can be very painful. As you mature, you can have the same experience but it doesn't feel as tense. It doesn't feel as arduous. And that's because your relationship to it has really shifted. You have changed. You have transformed. Your perspective on it has changed. And that you've learned to become resilient. You know, you've learned to roll with the punches. Yeah, you've learned to roll with the punches. And I just feel compelled to say this right now because the opposite of that is to just allow life to run roughshod over you. Yeah. And this morning, I have an investment group. It's called Black Girl Development. My cousin, Valerie Sears Jones, who is a realtor, is a part of that. And, she called me this morning, I won't say in hysterics, but she was really broken down because she was here last week for a conference, met with a young woman who's an attorney, has a really great, unique idea on she's a real estate attorney. So how her business is a really unique concept. And so they went back home and they noticed that she had not been showing up for her Clubhouse rooms, So people from Clubhouse call her family.
Right.
Family goes over to the house. The woman has been dead at her computer for 3 days.
What
my gosh.
What?
For 3 days.
Ooh.
At her computer.
At her computer.
Wow.
So it is just, I said, it's just such a call to action and the woman had been saying to my cousin, I'm really trying to get my health in order. I know I need to, stop working as hard as I am, really grinding this thing out, trying to make it work. And yeah, she didn't make, and this is a young lady who's like 30.
Oof.
30.
Wow.
So just such a call to action for all of us to really enjoy this process. It's really not that deep.
It's not. Remember that your health is your wealth, and everything else will fall into place.
Yes,
so,
Ashe.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
What if you could give advice to your 16-year-old self?
Ooh, okay.
What would it be?
She was something else.
I bet.
Let me see.
Or 18 or whatever period
All
of life you want to have a conversation
all of
with.
them. Wow. I actually would have my 16 or 18-year-old self give advice to me.
Okay.
I always come with something different. You can't trip me up. You cannot trip me up.
That's awesome.
I would have my 16 or 18-year-old self say, keep the fire burning. That 16 and 18-year-old self was fierce. She did some things like, I could tell you stories and we probably don't even have enough time to go through it, but seriously, my mother tells stories of, I remember I was president of the French club and I decided we were going to have a fashion show. And so I called, you all will get a kick out of this, Madison's, what was considered high profile stores. What was that shoe store, Wet n Wild or something? I can't remember the names of them. But, because we had big time Bacharachs and, I'm going back now, I'm telling my age here. But, she called up those stores and said, we're having a fashion show and I really need for you to provide the clothes for it. And they did.
Wow.
And they did. And I called flower shops and, said, I need for you to provide the decorations. That's
awesome.
And so I could go through so many stories where she was there were no limitations on what she thought, what she believed was possible. And even at 18 and I went to college at 17, and I just had decided, even though financially it looked like I could not go, but I had decided that I was going to Central State University. I was going to graduate from there, and I did it. I don't know how, I worked 3 jobs sometimes, but it didn't feel like that. I was having such a great time. I don't know how I worked 3 jobs, pledged, had a boyfriend. I had a huge social life. I don't know how I did that because now I'm saying, God, where do we find the time? I'm so tired.
Right. Yes. I get it.
So they would say to me, keep the fire, like it's all right there. And it all worked itself out.
Beautiful.
It all worked itself out.
Beautiful.
The money was there. The relationships were there. I had a great time. When I look back on it, it's awesome. And nothing has really changed.
I was going to say, I think you listened.
Yeah.
I think you listened. The fire is burning bright.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Tell us about your coaching program.
Yes. So life on your own terms. Yeah. I've just found that we as women, I want to run this race with women who want to be unapologetic about who the heck they are.
Nice.
And they're out there. That's who I am. And so this coaching program is automated, where you get an opportunity to have a self-paced experience to begin to unfold and peel back the layers of who you are. You get a chance to discover your triple nature, your spirit, your humanness, your public persona, and to understand what your epic challenge is as you move through this life. Now, you're not alone on that. We need something to be able to go back to, and that has been the benefit of this technology. It's been the benefit of me going through this course, is to understand the value that technology provides and allows me and others to be able to reach women all over the world. Mm-hmm. And for them to be able to take this course at a self-paced, self-guided way and to go back to it. You get the course forever, so that whatever epic challenge unfolds for you at 30, 40, 50, 60, you can always go back to that. Now, what you get with that are coaching sessions, live coaching sessions with me and other self-mastery experts. You get a chance to be in community with women who are of like minds and like spirits, because we're traveling in tandem together. Yes. And so we don't have, it may not show up in the same areas of our life, but the issues are so similar that we can glean from each other's experience, strength, and hope.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So
and we're built to do this together.
Absolutely.
Right?
Interdependent, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So loving the fact that women get a chance to do this at their own pace and yet be a part of a community that will support them. Whether you are you're ready to level up in your career or do something different in your career, you don't know how to ask for that promotion, or perhaps you're even wondering why every time you go to get the promotion, you're somehow passed over. Somebody else gets it.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yes.
Or perhaps it's that your relationship is non-existent or doesn't tickle your fancy quite anymore. Mm-hmm. And of course, you think it's your boo or the men or women that is the problem, but you keep having the same experience. And the only common denominator is the person that's staring at you in the mirror. Or maybe it's your health and your body. And I have clients now who've come to me wanting to lose weight and not really understanding that their epic challenge is not the additional 20 pounds. It is our relationship to our body. And I could speak to that. Hello, me.
Mm-hmm. Hello, me.
Hello, me. Shifting that relationship to your body. And so regardless of where you are on the journey and what you see as that vision for yourself, that what it means for you to live life on your own terms, to be able to speak your truth and own your power and run this race on your own. This program, Life on Your Own Terms, is going to help you to identify that epic challenge and to put very specific strategies in place to be able to overcome it and get into the best health of your life, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Oof. All right. So clearly you're a driven person, high achiever.
Yes.
You probably drive 90 wherever you go.
Not as much as Bill.
Hello, me. So give us 1, 2, 3 things that you would share with somebody that is not a high achiever, like doesn't necessarily have the gumption or the inspiration to act on their own. Because I think that's one of the big things that we all resonate. The three of us resonate together. We're all self-starters. And so how do you, what would you share with somebody that isn't necessarily a self-starter? What's the first step? What's the second step?
I think it's the same thing for everyone. And that is your why has to be big enough.
Well said.
Your why always has to be big enough. I don't care whether or not you are, maybe you don't want to have a multi-million-dollar business. Right. That's okay.
And which is fine.
Fine. Right. It's perfectly fine. Okay. Maybe you just want to be the most amazing mother on the planet.
Which is a
Which
giant,
is a multi-billion-dollar business.
which is a multi-billion.
and a big why, for sure.
And a big why. But your why has to be big enough.
Yeah.
And, those short-term whys of losing 20 pounds just are not sustainable enough to, for that outcome to last you. And so I think the only thing that our higher power is asking us to do is to define for ourselves what is meaning for us. What does it mean to be fulfilled? And when you answer that question for yourself, you pursue it at whatever rate and pace and strategy that is right for you.
Yep. And ask that question for yourself.
Yes.
Ask that question for yourself. Not, is it the money or is it, but what is it actually that fulfills my soul?
Yes.
What is it for me personally?
Yeah, there's a big difference between success and fulfillment.
Yes.
So that checklist that I talked about earlier, I love a fast car and clothes, and I love all those. I still love those things. However, I realize now that those are not all the things that really fulfill me. Fulfillment is internal. The success that we're talking about oftentimes is external. And so if you really want to know what drives me, my biggest why is because I promised my higher power that I would become all that I can be.
Nice.
And I feel very emotional about it because when I get to the end of my life, I want to be able to say that I did my part.
Nice.
That's what drives me, honestly.
And then what do you say, when, people are looking for that big why or that drive, do you talk to them about maturity or accountability or, anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. We talked a little bit about the maturity piece. I've had one client I'm thinking about in particular who is, she's in her 60s and she had the chronological age, but she admitted to herself after going through the program that, she really didn't have the emotional maturity to be able to achieve the goals that she wanted. And she could never figure out why. And it was because her entire life had been spent deferring to other people and other people's expectations. She always played to the back. So there is a maturing process that she's going through to not reclaim her power, but to define her power, to tap into her power for the first time at 60.
Wow. That's so cool,
At
though.
60, it is.
I mean,
I'm so inspired. When women come to me and they're in their 60s, they're in their 70s, and they don't see themselves as fearless, but, let me change that, fierce. They don't see themselves as fierce because I think fear is a part of the human condition, but they don't see themselves as fierce. But what makes them fierce is just the fact that they would ask the question and take the step.
yes.
That's
Absolutely. Acknowledging it.
Every day,
Yes.
just put one step in front of the other. Every day, put a little bit of paint on the house. You hear me say it all the time, Nancy. Every day, we just put a little paint on the house. It's, and before you know it, you look up and the house is painted,
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tracy, do you have another question? Okay. Tracy, if someone to connect with you, how would they do so?
Yes. So you can always reach me on all platforms at I am Tracey Knight because I am Tracey Knight.
Yes.
And Tracy is spelled, so it's IAM TRACEY Knight, KNIGHT. And if you want to reach me on LinkedIn, it's just Tracey Knight. Not just Tracey Knight, but Tracey Knight without
Cool.
the IM.
Got it. Cool.
And my website is IamTraceyKnight.com.
Awesome.
Yes, I so look forward to hearing from you, asking questions, ask the questions, be willing to have the conversation with people. I appreciate you all inviting me here to even be able to have the conversation together and to learn from one another, to share experiences and to be courageous enough to have a breakdown, which often, next time we come together, we'll have to talk about this concept of breaking down, like the pain that comes with breaking down, because I think so often what we are really attempting to do is to avoid any pain in our life.
Yes.
We are attempting to avoid the pain. And again, my sweetie Shaka, really has helped me to recontextualize this. He says, there's going to be discomfort either way. Mm-hmm. If you stay where you are, which you can't because everything in life is changing. But if you choose not to do anything, there's discomfort that comes with that. Right. So if you choose to take action, there is discomfort with that because there is change, So it's something that's unfamiliar. You cannot avoid it. It's just a natural part of the process. And if you look back, any and everything that we've ever done in our life that we are proud of, that we feel that we've attained some level of success, whether it's giving birth to children, parenting, getting the promotion, getting a degree, anything that you've done that really was a challenge for you, there was some discomfort that was associated through it. And so your ability to be able to sit with that, sit with the pain, recognize it as such, and to keep going is what builds fortitudinal strength. It is what builds character. And so the more you can put yourself in environments, as crazy as it sounds, that allow you to test your ability to sort of, I don't want to call it withstand, but to be present to the pain.
Yeah, or be comfortable, become comfortable being uncomfortable.
Being uncomfortable. Then the more powerful you become. I became a runner at 50. At 50 years old, I just wanted to run just a 5K, once a quarter. That's all I wanted to do. And as it turns out, I started running more than a 5K every single weekend.
Yeah. Careful what you ask for, right?
Be careful what you ask for. And last week, I ran my first official race. I was very proud of myself. I have a little medal to support that, as a reminder.
Is that what you're wearing right now? No, just kidding.
But yeah, I just want to leave your listeners with that encouragement that you're not going to die.
No.
You're not going to die. It's, if anything, you're going to die to yourself and be reborn anew.
It's beautiful. Yes.
It's beautiful. I love it.
I love it. And I love you too. I love both of you.
We love you too. For sure. Beautiful.
I'm complete. You're amazing. I love you. I really appreciate you. It's such a gift to have you here and to share you with everybody and especially our listeners and folks that subscribe to us. And it's just really beautiful. So thank you very much for sharing everything.
So impactful for sure. So questions or comments around what Tracy and we have been speaking to today, just please reach out. Tracy gave her information earlier. You can reach out to us at sexmoneyrealestate@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or just Google us because we're out there. You'll find us. And we'd love to hear your feedback and put you in touch with Tracy if you have any other questions. So let us know, please. All for now.
I'm so in love with this whole thing right now.
We're signing off, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah,
absolutely.
See you later. Bye.
Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're inspired, we ask that you share the podcast with one person and subscribe and follow the show. I'm Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And remember, it's a great life.
Quick note about the Sex, Money, and Real Estate podcast. We are not doctors or licensed therapists. We are a joyous, abundant, and mature couple passionately sharing our story of growth around sex, money, and real estate. Our thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are our own, so please consult your doctor, healthcare provider, or your broker regarding any questions or issues you have related to your physical or mental health or specific state laws regarding your real estate business.